Good morning. Here we are again, doing a screencast. So, yeah. Do I really sound like this? Okay, anyway. This screencast is to go over what you see before you, pre-writing guide for the memoir. And so the pre-writing guide, of course, is based on the idea that before you write something complex, like any of our assignments, you should do some brainstorming and some planning and make some decisions before you try to draft. You know, a psychology professor I know talks about when you're drafting a piece of writing, the cognitive load, she calls it, is very high. In other words, your brain is working overtime when you're writing, when you're drafting. So you can make it easier on yourself by planning and brainstorming beforehand, so you've got ideas and maybe an outline or something similar. You've got some of your details at your fingertips. That makes it easier to write, and you can write better. And so the idea with the pre-writing guide, it's where you show me what your decisions are and what your thinking is, and I can make sure you're on the right track, and it can help you form a basis for your draft. Now, as I say in the overview, there's some other things you can do besides what's on this pre-writing guide, some brainstorming, some outlining, and so on. And so look at that again if you don't remember what I'm talking about, because those things are also helpful. You might want to do them before you start this pre-writing guide, or in the middle you might realize, gee, I should brainstorm or something like that. In any case, your pre-writing is where you make some tentative decisions and let me know what they are. You know, the writing process is such that people's ideas and so on evolve and change as they're writing and as they're revising. So don't feel like you're setting things in stone by putting them on this pre-writing guide, but you're letting me know that you have the right idea. Topic, of course, is, in our case, the event that you want to focus on. So I want a little paragraph here, please, explaining why it was important to you, or is still important to you, and why you think it might be important to your audience, what they could learn from it about, as I said on another screencast, about the major, or about the profession, or about, you know, being a college student, or about learning certain subjects. Audience profile, this is where you sort of flesh out your concept of your target audience. You know, you might not know a member of your target audience personally, so you might not have an image of them in your mind. And so, as it says, look at the overview before you do this, and remember who your target readers are. And this might seem like, well, I'm just going to repeat, that you're just going to repeat what I said in the overview, but I have the theory that having you write it, even though you've been told who your audience is, having you write it gives you ownership of it and makes you think about it a little more deeply. Think about for what reasons your audience might read your memoir. Why might they be interested in it? Why might they read the beginning and want to continue? What might they expect or hope to get out of it? Well, that leads into expectations. What are they going to expect? What do they expect when they read a memoir that is targeted to them? Before they read it, what do they think that the content is going to be? What do they think you're going to include? How formal do they expect the tone to be? How long do they expect it to be? And so on. Think about their attitudes as they're reading and reacting to what they read. What do you expect their attitudes to be? You know, David Starkey talks about putting yourself in the memoir. And that's, you know, you're talking about something that you witnessed or that happened to you and how you responded. And so do you think, well, they might think I'm being too honest, or maybe they'll think I'm dishonest, or maybe they'll think I'm an ethical person, or maybe they'll question my ethics. These kind of things are attitudes that they might have. And there are other possibilities. Are they going to think you're funny? Are they going to think you're being serious enough or too serious? What's their attitude toward the topic, which is, again, the event you're writing about? Is it something that they'll think is scary? Is it something they'll think is funny? Is it something they'll think doesn't matter to them until they find out what it was like for you, and then they realize how much it does matter. You know, what are their attitudes as they read? How are they going to react? On the second page, I'm trying to help you brainstorm and sort of outline the narrative. And so this table, the purpose of it is to, as it says, brainstorm or generate some potential raw material for your memoir. And so by the time you get to this point, you have an event that you want to narrate in mind, and that event is made up of specific incidents. So for example, when you read The Long Goodbye, Mother's Day in Federal Prison by Amanda Coyne, you'll see, it covers only a few hours. It covers one Mother's Day, visiting hours during a Mother's Day at a federal prison. But there are certain incidents within that event, like the first impressions that she gets. She talks about the children. There's a boy who does a convincing imitation of Frank Sinatra, and there's a little incident there. And there's a woman who can recognize any perfume and identify it by scent. And there's a little incident there that makes up part of the larger event. So I'm hoping to get you to think about these kinds of things that are elements of the event you're talking about. Now, you don't have to list exactly this many, as I've made spaces for. You can list more, you can list fewer, as long as you show me that you're really thinking about, okay, what are the sort of steps in this event that I'll be going through. And then with each one, you can list details that you'll want to include about people, about places or things, or gestures and actions. And so if it's an event that begins with arriving at a place, that could be something you would put here, and then the details you might think about, okay, what am I going to describe when I'm talking about my arrival at the place? And again, it's a matter of choosing some relevant details that might give a sense, a clear, vivid sense of that place, not every single detail of that place. And of course, we're talking about concrete details. Okay, so there's that, and then this relates to significance on the rubric. Ideas, hopefully you're not, as I said, just trying to tell an entertaining story, but trying to tell a significant event that should matter, that matter to you and should matter to your audience. And so this is where you think about some ideas you might be trying to get across. And they're not ideas about what it meant to you personally so much, unless that relates more broadly to what it might mean to people like you, people in your situation, or people in a specific situation. In other words, you're trying to give the event a broader significance. So I think that the significance of the event is best represented by statements, general statements that you could make. Now, you might never state these sentences in your actual autobiography, but they might be between the lines. You might be implying them, or you might state them. So the example, notice it's a general statement about female drug offenders. It's not about what it meant to Amanda. It's not about what it meant to her sister. It's kind of a broader point of the experience. And so you guys are going to look at one another's pre-writing and offer feedback. And of course, I'll do the same thing. And I've just kind of made a place for me to put my comments. If I think you need to rethink significant portions of your pre-writing, I'll make a comment here and asking you to resubmit it. If there are some adjustments that you should make, but I think you're on the right track, I'll remind you of some adjustments to make before you draft. And again, a bottom line is an overall comment about your pre-writing. And so this pre-writing is going to be due on Monday the 9th. Between now and Friday, I'll make available a forum for you guys to sort of brainstorm with each other about what topics you think you want to write about. And so you might want to do that before you start on the pre-writing. Okay, and so as usual, I'm hoping this has answered some of your questions about the pre-writing, but you are welcome to send me additional questions. All right, see you next